which they make to your life every day. Let me say this. Let me say this while I'm still waiting. Teachers' lives doesn't start when 8 o'clock the bell rings and at 2:45 when the last student leaves. I used to read a little book to my daughters when they were younger, and it says, "My teacher lives at school," because they would come to school and their teachers were always there, and when they leave school, their teachers were always there. So the perception of little kids in their mind, their teacher must live at school. Sometimes I think Mrs. Diaz lives at school. She just doesn't let you know, because very late and Mr. Clark, their lights are still on in their room, and Mrs. Diaz's car is still in the parking lot. And I wonder if they both live at school. So that's because it's not just something that they give, it's a sacrifice they make. To sacrifice in order that you can grow. Their time and their efforts and their interests. When your principal or your teachers want to stand up to make sure you do what you have to do, is because later on you'll thank them for this. Still just keeping time. And so students, I'm so awestruck by what I've seen here, and I'm glad I'm a part of this. But I'm going to go ahead, since the seniors are anxious to get this done. I'll go ahead and officially introduce the seniors who will be presenting today. I have 5 seniors who will be presenting today, and I'll call their name, and just support them with your attention. And if there's an applause at the end of their speech, that also encourages the next person who will take the microphone. And so this is our job as fellow classmates and schoolmates, to support each person as they present. So seniors today, I am especially grateful to be part of this experience called CMS. It's a platform that gives students the ability to speak publicly, to do research and present this to their school. I see this as important because what you see, what you learn, and what you hope to know and share is something that we all are interested in learning. So, as seniors, you take this platform, it might be the last time at CMS that you are going to make this presentation a public performance or presentation. I know that you will take this beyond these walls and you'll treasure what you have had here. So I have all the confidence and I have faith that you will do your best as you come to present what you have researched here today. So, teachers, staff, parents, students, Principal Diaz, I present to you the senior class of the school presenting their 2024 CMS talks. Today we have Miguel, senior, who will be presenting airplanes falling out of the skies. After Miguel, we'll have Maxine, the effects of immigration on the labor force. Number 3, Mr. Francisco will be talking today the effects of gentrification. Alexa will be speaking on the effects of senioritis on seniors. Speaking on, let me make this sure of this, online business. I'm looking forward to this presentation. Give them a round of applause as they come to the microphone and introduce themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, CMS 2024.
First, let's talk. Planes can weigh up to 210 tons. And every time you see a plane, imagine this: a bus being pulled by 50 hippos. That's 210 tons. Okay. What gets a plane up and flying? Two factors: thrust and lift. What creates these factors? These factors are created by thrust is created by engines. Engines differentiate between plane to plane and depends on the weight. So a very big plane needs very big engines to fly. What gets the plane up and flying? The wings. These two simple uh, wings on the side of the plane get it flying. But wait, they're not so simple. Uh, the other two factors that don't want it to go up. These are gravity and drag. What's gravity? Gravity is the gravitational pull of the Earth on an object, and drag is the air resistance that the object has when it's moving. So for a plane to be able to take off, it needs to have greater thrust than the drag, and it needs greater lift than gravity. Okay, now you're up and flying. But wait, I want to go to Dallas. Dallas, I know, is 3 hours that way, but how does that airplane know it? Very simple. Planes have this object in their instruments called the flight management box, or commonly known between pilots as the box. With this instrument, you input your coordinates or the airplane you're trying to go to. Air, Airports are determined by three letters. Like, for example, um, Los Angeles Airport is known as LAX, and so forth. Every single airport has three different letters. So now you input these uh, coordinates into the box, and the box gives you a magenta line. Now the pilot can choose for the plane to follow it, or the pilot can choose to follow it manually by flying the plane. So that's how planes get to point A to point B. But now think about this. What happens if your plane has no engines? Midway through the flight, up to 60 miles. And this is with information that the plane is at a 30,000 feet elevation. So planes, even without engines, have the lift and drag to be able to fly 60 miles. Thank you.
And they know the demand that is in this country, and they know how to help and their region dynamics. In 2023, about 17% of the U.S. labor market was 17%. This is a great amount and a great percentage in this country. And people, um, it is well known that um, native borns argue that these immigrants affect their jobs and that with them they stay without jobs, but it's not true because without them those jobs wouldn't be taken and we still need them because they contribute greatly. They're seen as often employees, but it's not true. They're also entrepreneurs and they co-found and found very big countries in this world, in this country being like Google, Tesla, or Intel. So they are not always employees. They're also very good and big people in this country. Um, that without immigrants, our economy would have a negative impact, and that will lower productivity of job creation and slow down the economic growth of this country as they are part of a. This nation contains a 40% of immigrants, so without them, there's a clear disadvantage to us. This makes them, as I said, a very big contributor to the economic growth. While, as again, concerns still persist, the evidence shown that their effect is very nuanced, and immigrants enhance the workforce other than displacing the native borns. Thank you.
Gentrification is a demographic and economic shift that displaces working class communities in favor of wealthier newcomers and real estate investors. Good afternoon, road runners. My name is Alexis Bourbon Padilla, and today I'll be talking about gentrification in Mexico. I guess you may have heard about this topic in social media platforms such as TikTok or Instagram, even Facebook. There's a lot of videos, there's a lot of people talking of it, and there's a lot of cases regarding this issue that is going on right now in Mexico. As I mentioned at the beginning, gentrification is a demographic and economic shift in the community. In other words, a newcomer, most of them are foreigners from North America, in this case on Mexico, come to the country and look for a new place to live. Probably a cheaper, probably a more beautiful, and probably a more comfortable place than where they used to live. Um, the newcomer usually has a higher income than the Mexican living right there on the city, and this is an opportunity for the landowner to increase the price in the apartments or in the houses that he's renting, and now this opportunity will provide him with more profit. So now the people that were living right there will not be able to pay anymore for the place, and will eventually have to move out of that place where he or she was living. Um, this problem grew more out of hand with the beginning of the pandemic. most of the North Americans were living in places where the rentals were extremely high. Maybe San Diego, that is a close example for us. Maybe Boston, New York. In Canada, we have Toronto, Ontario, and other places that have great, very big rental. So one example of this is San Diego, where the rental average per month is of $3,175. If we go to Boston, for example, the rental per month is of about $2,740. So when the foreigners look at this and they start working online with the beginning of the pandemic, they're paying high rentals in their old apartments. So they took the chance to go and look for other places where to live. And these people is what we call right now as digital nomads. People who are still working in their local business but are earning on dollars or maybe a higher, maybe euros, I don't know. There's a lot of higher currencies in the world right now. So they're earning in that type of currency and they go to a cheaper countries such as Mexico, that is our case right here. So now they have a cheaper, as I mentioned at the beginning, have a cheaper apartment, a cheaper place to live, and maybe they can have some adventure. Digital nomads look for their adventure while still working and earning a big salary. So I guess that's one of the main reasons why most of the newcomers come to Mexico to look for a new adventure, but still having a lot of money that eventually raises the prices of the goods and the rentals in or tourist cities on Mexico. Now, when these newcomers arrive to Mexico, they realize that they pay about half of the rent they were paying on their local cities. So now they're living in a more comfortable way, and that's not the most important thing they're looking for. One important topic that we need to talk about when we're looking at gentrification is the salaries that we have in Mexico and the salaries that we have on the United States. The salaries in the United States are about 3 to 4 times higher than the salaries in Mexico. And this is a big reason of why Mexicans struggle to pay more and to change their home, to change their apartments for a new place, because they don't have the same economic opportunities as many people North America has. Another thing that I should mention when talking about gentrification is the cultural effect that it has on our country. One very strange case that occurred in Mexico City was of an American model who said that organilleros, who are people who play music in the streets, usually in the center of the city, were polluting the sound and the peace of the city. But I wouldn't see any problem with this since it is a very important part of the environment of Mexico City. Another important case that occurred in Mazatlan was a group of Canadians that disliked banda music because it was too high and it also polluted. It also distracted them from making their daily activities. So I guess no one of us goes to another people's house and sets his own type of ideas and his own types of rules. So I guess that's a concept that the people who did this and us as visitors of another country should also follow in order to have a respectful and very beautiful environment of sharing all cultures together. Gentrification must not be confused with migration. And this confusion between these two concepts is leading to conflicts, especially in the southern cities of Mexico, since a lot of people from Oaxaca are letting know Americans especially that they don't want them. So it's not a reason for us to practice acts of xenophobia or other hate beliefs against people. Contrary to that, we need to invite foreigners to enjoy our beautiful culture and our beautiful practices. Thank you so much.
So, good afternoon, class and other classes. So, my name is Alka Zelaya, and today I'm going to be talking about senioritis and the effect that it has on seniors. So, for us seniors, graduation is already around the corner, and since many of us have already been accepted in university and we are excited about the future, we tend to forget that we're still in high school and we still have right now, a few weeks till the year ends. So, many of us, including myself, we tend to slack off during our homework, projects, and even in classes that we tend to fall asleep and not pay attention. So here in the U.S. and around the world, there's this term, senioritis. So I think most of you, or at least my class, we have already heard of it from Mrs. Diaz. So senioritis, to sum it shortly, is the lack of motivation that seniors in high school experience at their end of their high school years. So after struggling 4 whole years with high school and the pressure of getting into college, we experience something that's known as academic burnout. So senioritis is not actually a scientifically proven term, but teachers, counselors, as well as students, they acknowledge that there's an impact that it has on students, on senior students during our last year. So still, some students self-diagnose with senioritis, but maybe they're just using that term humorously to hide the fact that they may be experiencing another severe mental disorder, so which can be depression. So depression and senioritis, they share a few symptoms. So the symptoms of depression are low energy, um, mood swings, emotion and emotional states, and the lack of focus and insomnia. So the one that they share that they have in common, senioritis and depression, are the lack of focus or the lack of motivation. So how to know if you're actually experiencing depression and not senioritis? So to know is that if you're experiencing lack of motivation and you know that it's paired with negative and intrusive thoughts, then you should stop using senioritis as a term to hide it and go see a doctor, because sometimes it can lead to something worse. Just because you're trying to cover it up, that doesn't mean that it's gonna go away. So another thing that it proven that it affects seniors is that SAD, which stands for seasonal affective disorder. So what this is when the time or weather shifts and changes. So when we go from winter to spring, it's been actually scientific proof that it can affect someone's emotional state of being. So yes, so it is proven that it affects seniors. It affects seniors in the lack of work, since they're already tired after 4 years, and now that time shifts, they tend to get more tired with it. So just to close up, senioritis is not just about slacking off. It's about feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on with graduation and the plans for the future. So something that I want to leave you with is that I want you to understand the connection that senioritis and depression may have, so you can be aware of it when you go into senior year, and to be able to find guidance and support among your peers and your teachers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My topic for the CMS talks is about online business. And I'm going to start off by saying that online business has been an incredible, life-changing thing for many people in the last years. Um, and in order for us to understand what is anything online that takes money in and takes money out and moves money to every other store facility from that industry. Um, we have to understand that social media are platforms used by these industries to promote the items or purchase online for us. Um, as well, that we can buy stuff online, and we have to understand the story of how this online industry has developed through the years. In the past, we have had this business already, but it was not as popular as today. And the reason was because of the pandemic. In 2019, most of the facilities were closed, and therefore the people wanted or preferred to buy stuff online rather than going out there and risking getting sick, and because everyone was under panic because of this pandemic. I have a personal story of an uncle of mine who used to buy phones online, and they were like phones that did not work anymore. But he will fix those phones. He will use his materials. He will use his knowledge about technology and fix them, and then resell them. This also counts as an online business, and basically everything that you sell on platforms like eBay or Amazon, and it's a great opportunity for the people in today's day because it's something that has increased popularity, and it can give you chances financially. In the percentage of these businesses, now I'm talking about the global statistics, 92% approximately of the people who are involved in this online industry area own a small business, and only 10% of those businesses succeed. And this is something that is actually really controversial because in the last years we have had a lot of people that began telling about their courses online, and these, most of them are just scams which people sometimes fall for. I personally daily, when I'm scrolling in maybe TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I get ads from a lot of people who try to sell courses online or promote ways to make money, and most of them, I'm not saying every way, but most of them are just for their own gain and for their own benefit, and they do not care if you actually succeed or not. They want money, but most of them are just scams, and this is because that's their business, basically, to scam people. This has been really popular nowadays, and it's something that people sometimes fall for because, first of all, in order to start a business, you need to be properly prepared. You have to have a plan on what do you want to do, what do you want to sell, either a good service. And for example, let's say you want to sell shirts online. You need to keep in mind where you're gonna make those shirts, how much will it cost you to produce them, and who are you gonna sell them for, who will you hire to promote them, or how can you do to promote them yourself. And that's actually harder than it sounds because it's not an easy thing to just make a business from zero, from nowhere. That's why you keep escalating from things to from a step to another step and making your business bigger. And that's what has been developing this system of making online businesses. That's why it has increased a lot in the last years because, again, because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic, many people prefer to make their business online instead of going into a crowded mall to purchase something. In and it has created a lot of wealthy people and bring opportunities to them. And I think everyone can make it if they actually put their best effort and their and they dedicate themselves to do it. And that's it for my part. Thank you very much.
I'd like for you to give the presenters another round of applause, please. Have you been educated? Have you been educated? How many people knew about airplanes and what keeps them flying? All right, all right. So, online businesses, you have an opportunity to do that. And so, there is so much you can learn, and you should come prepared to learn something. That's why they took the time to do the research. And they're sharing with you something of importance, something that's important to them. And so, immigration is important. So is gentrification. Very important where you are. You should know what's around you. And you should know when things are evolving. And when it's evolving, that's the time you pay attention so you can be a part of it. Because things are going to change. And things will change. Seniors, I want to thank you so much for being so brave to kick off this first part of the 2024 CMS talks. And so, I'm a kid on the block, and I'm excited for what's coming. Thank you so much, teachers. Thank you so much for bringing your class. And seniors who have presented, we want to take a picture. So we're getting thumbs up from the back, and we just want to thank you. We'll take a picture here, and you are dismissed. We won't have CMS talks tomorrow. On Thursday, tomorrow we'll meet in our classrooms, and we will proceed from there. Prepare yourselves, take notes from what you saw today, and hit it out of the park. Thank you so much. Mrs. Diaz, you have anything to say? All right. Have a great rest of the evening. Seniors meet